want to say good morning, good morning, good morning to the Build Your Best Life family. Today, we're coming back to you with another great conversation with the guys. I have three new faces for y'all with new perspective, but they each bring their own unique perspective in adding value to this community. I want to say I am Derek Durden, your host, and I'm gonna guide you along this journey of the conversation of break the money stress cycle. When we think about money, one of the things, especially in this downturn of the economy, stress and money is almost synonymous. But today we're going to dive into this topic. We're going to break it down for you and give you some solutions to some of the things that you might be facing. And so right now, I'm going to let each and every one of the individuals that's going to talk today, I want them to introduce themselves, talk a little about themselves, and we're going to dive right into it. First, we're going to go to Andre. If you would, Andre, introduce yourself to the Build Your Best Life community.
Hey, thank you so much for having me today. I am Andre Kelly, Mr. Public Speaking Authority Coach, Certified Professional Speaker, and Corporate Trainer. I'm all the way from Nassau, Bahamas. It's good to be here.
That's all you got, Andre?
Yeah, that's it. We're going to talk. We're going to have some
conversation. Introduce yourself. Talk a little bit more about what you do, who you are. Tell us.
And so I'll tell you a little bit about me. At the age of 9, I lost my mother to breast cancer. My father was never around. I struggled to find myself. I struggled to find my voice. I struggled to find my identity. I was labeled at risk. I had some run-ins with the law, but I made a U-turn. I did some things differently. I struggled financially. I was homeless twice, y'all, and I did some things a little bit differently. And so now who I am, I'm the CEO and founder of the Public Speaking Authority, a company that's committed to helping people find their voices. I've navigated banking for 5 years. I've navigated aviation management. I've navigated hospitality management, and I've also navigated nonprofits and government in the Bahamas.
Okay, thank you for that introduction. Next, we're going to go to Mr. Che Brown. If you would, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Well, it's a great day, everyone. My name is Che Brown, and I'm probably like many of you out there, by the way, just a kind human being trying to make an impact in this world, by the way. I happen to be a husband, so I'm married to the one and only Carla Brown, last 16 years. That's a blessing, by the way. I'm also a father. How cool is that, by the way? My sons are grown these days. I've had the opportunity of raising 2 boys, and that's pretty cool. I'm also a caregiver. Mother dear now is 78 years old, and what a blessing to be in a position to take care of Mother dear and make sure she has everything that she needs to have a very, very comfortable life. So I guess I'm a caregiver. Some of you out there might be that as well. I'm also a brother, by the way. So I have a brother and I have a sister, which is a whole nother dynamic by itself. And that's pretty cool. I'm the oldest of 3, by the way. So I'm in Washington, D.C., born in D.C., raised in D.C., still live in D.C., by the way. And today, my impact and my contribution back to the world is we have a company called CEO Sales Agencies, where our number one mission is to help CEOs build a sales department system that produces 7 figures a month of revenue. And that revenue allows them to execute the vision they have for the people they were called to serve. So we're able to help folks generate money and generate revenue, and that allows them to make a bigger difference in the world. So we're really, really pleased by that. The one idea that I would share just from me to you is that systems beat goals every single time. So think about that for a moment. Systems beat goals every single time. Systems beat goals every single time because systems are duplicatable, they're repeatable, and there's something you give to someone else. So maybe later we're talking about what your money system is, but think about your health system. Think about your relationship system. Think about your faith system. Wherever you are in the world today is based on whatever system you implement on a daily basis. Not what you believe. I'm beyond that. Not what you think when you're thinking about that. About what you're doing. Back over to you, Derek.
Well, one thing I always can say about you, you are going to bring the energy, and that energy really is contagious, and it's going to keep this energy going within this podcast interview. And so next, my good friend, Dr. Allen, if you would please introduce yourself.
Cool. Good morning, everybody. My name is Dr. William D. Allen. I am the founder and CEO of TISMAC, which stands for the Texas Supremacy of Music and Arts Conservatory, where we service the youth with urban performing arts, more so of the HBCU culture. I am a trumpet player, 2021 Grammy Award winner for band instruction at South Oak Cliff High School right here in Dallas, Texas, Presidential Lifetime Achievement Award winner. The Lord has blessed me in so many different capacities. It's just the accolades go on and on and on. But I say this because I used to be a student in the culture when it comes to, urban performing arts, and then became an educator for 12 years as a band director and a choir director, and also in teaching fine arts for 12 years. And now I'm an advocate for the arts. And so the Lord has positioned me to be able to pour into the communities that poured into me, and just give and making sure that the communities and students and families have.
Okay. We're going to dive right into the first question. You guys ready for this conversation? Are y'all amped up? Are y'all excited?
You ready?
So
Absolutely.
The first question is just to break the ice. Andre, if you would, please let us know what breaking the money stress cycle means to you.
So, Derek, when I think about breaking the money stress cycle and what that simply means to me, I think about changing both the situation and also the mindset and the conversation around money. For me, it's not just about making more. Of course, we want to make more. We want to take flights. We want to travel. We want to ensure our family is well taken care of. But it's also no longer about living in survival mode. It's about no longer making decisions out of fear. But it's also not just making the decisions out of lack or also out of urgency. It's about creating a sense of stability where there used to be chaos, confusion, calamity. It's about learning, I guess, what I was never taught, making those intentional choices instead of those reactive ones, and also building a life where money becomes a tool, not a source of anxiety. And so breaking the cycle for me is really about breaking the
Yes, sir.
the patterns that held and holds people down, but also choosing a new path to financial purpose and awareness.
Great perspective. You have a unique perspective because you're the only person that's on here that's not from the actual continental United States. I know you represent the Bahamas loud and clear, man, and I'm grateful that you were definitely invited because your perspective brings a new perspective to the topic. If you would, Mr. Brown, tell us, what does breaking the money stress cycle mean to you?
Sure. So there I was in the 7th grade, had to get the first job washing dishes. My mom and dad is separated. Separated when I was 5 years old. My father never really held a job down until he got into the government. My mom had the same government job for 37 years in the same building for the federal government, but flipping burgers the next year working through college. I went to Morgan State University. Shout out to all the HBCUs out there. But I had to have loans and 2 jobs, by the way. Then I took out another loan when I found myself going to Johns Hopkins University. And then I messed my credit up. I know, don't judge me. I know some of y'all are not like Shay Brown. Put my first car on my first credit card, $5,000. I thought I was rich. Then I got another credit card when I was in college. I thought I was rich again. Breaking the money cycle means not making the same mistakes that I made and my parents made before me. And so today, I worked really hard to try to make sure my sons, who don't listen to me, I ain't listen to my mom, don't worry about it, don't have to go through the bad credit. don't have to worry about bankruptcy, have the power to be able to purchase a home with a really good interest rate. And that makes a difference, and have money in a 401k and have money saved. So when you break the money cycles, you make the next generation better off than where you are today. And that is my number one focus. And I do that, I broke the cycle. Now, they got to maintain it. It's just like your health. You know, you can lose the weight. They got to maintain it. But at least they're off to a way better start than I was. That's breaking the money cycles.
Even Dr. Allen had to raise his hands up on that one. You know, like I say, you're going to bring the energy, but not only energy, you're going to bring some great information. If you would, Dr. Allen, what does breaking the money stress cycle mean to you?
Well, with breaking the money stress cycle, personally, I believe that when you're breaking the money stress cycle means moving from survival thinking to intentional living. Now, for me, it's about no longer making decisions out of fear, making decisions out of lack, or even making decisions out of urgency, but instead operating from clarity, discipline, and purpose. So it's when money stops being a source of anxiety and actually becomes a tool for stability, freedom, and impact, not just for you, but for your family and the community.
Oh, okay. Yes, sir. You know, you come from a different background because now you're working in nonprofit. And so that's a different beast compared to people like me and Mr. Brown. We're in the for-profit. He does sales and he's killing it in sales. And so like that nonprofit sector, that's a whole beast within itself. But let's stick to the topic and let's go to the next question. How did your upbringing shape your mindset about money? And what lessons did you learn from it? Mr. Brown, I'm gonna let you start off with this one because I just want to hear what you got to say.
Sure. So my father, Marshall Brown, is no longer with us, passed away May 2nd, 2017. He was in the civil rights movement, right? So my mom went to work. My dad wanted to go save the freaking world, by the way. So he was in the Black Panthers, the civil rights movement. And he never really made a whole lot of money. But one of the mindsets he always gave us that when you have money, you can do so much more. So he gave us at least the mindset. Now, he might have gave us the tools, but he gave us the mindset that we deserved it. He gave us the mindset that we could achieve it. He gave us the mindset that we had the skills to do whatever we want. But one lesson that he taught me that I'll never forget. And I was in college, by the way, and we were having a student uprising up at Morgan State University. I was president of my class back then, the junior class, many, many years ago, right? Jesus was still around back then. It was a long time ago. But anyway, he shared this with me because I was like, Dad, you know, we're doing this. We're trying to make the school better. And it's not about the money. I said that. I mean, I believe that with every inference in my body. And he said, son, remember this. When you have more money, you can have more meaning in the world. You can write a check for causes you believe in. No, focus on the money. When you have more income, you can have more impact on other people's lives. Some of us had to march, and I was one of those, and others got to write the check. I want you to be on the side writing a check to help people who are marching and doing other things. And last, he did say this, and this is something that, you know, has been said before. My father didn't create it, and I'll leave you with this. He said, you can make $1 and a difference at the same time. Whoa, money ain't bad. My mom had taught us that in church, but my father gave me the principle, and I could see it. And so, which I can say I listened to him. It took me about 20 years to figure it out, but he gave me what I needed. Back over to you, Derek.
Okay. Very, very powerful, man. You bringing the heat. So, Dr. Allen, we're gonna go to you. We're gonna let Andre come in last, make it all smooth. But right now, I want to hear from you, Dr. Allen. How did your upbringing affect your mindset about money, and what lesson did you learn?
That's a great question. With my upbringing, it gave me an early understanding that money carries weight. So it affects your options, your stress levels, and your sense of security. So I saw the importance of working hard, but I also saw that hard work by itself, it doesn't always lead to financial stability. So that was a big realization for me. One of the most important lessons I learned is that effort without financial understanding can still lead to struggle. So at some point, I had to make a cautious decision. I am going to repeat what I've seen, or am I going to grow beyond it? So in that decision, it led me to focus on financial education, learn not just how to earn money, but how to manage it and also protect it and grow it as well. So that shift of that upbringing, as far as that money mindset, from working hard to with understanding, is what really began to change the outcomes of how I view money and how money works in the world versus my upbringing and how it shaped my mindset. So back to you here.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Now we're gonna hop straight into a guy who come from a different place. So his background may be a little different, but I'm pretty sure we all can still relate to it. Andre, you came highly recommended by my mentor Ricardo Miller, and so I know you're gonna bring that heat. If you would, please let us know, how did your upbringing in the Bahamas affect your mindset about money and the lessons that you learned?
So, Derek, I think for me, I'll begin at a line that I live by. All my life, I had to fight, and that's a line I live by simply because my upbringing, if taught me more about lack before it even taught me about management. Losing my mom at the age of 9, growing up in a household with my grandmother, my father was in prison, having to figure out where the next meal is going to come from, having to figure out how I'm going to get to school, how I'm going to get the resources I need while I'm at school, how am I going to get home when I get home, what happens next, navigating all of that and that poverty sort of aspect of things. It was a mentality for me, but it was also my reality. And there were moments where uncertainty, stability, it felt temporary and survival became the priority. But one of the greatest lessons I learned was that it doesn't matter how much I have, it's what I do with what I have. And so although I may not have grown up with much, as I navigated life, I think one of the greatest lessons I would have learned was that get through the day. That's a huge part of it. Money, or the poor money managing habits that developed, the short term thinking that I had to survive, prioritize, decisions driven by pressure instead of planning. But then the reality that as I grew older, that it doesn't matter how much you have, it's what you do with what you have. And so that was one of the greatest lessons.
Yes, sir. Valuable information. I like the different perspective. And so with that, we're gonna go straight into the next question because we're gonna keep it hot wise off while we're on fire. The next question is, what are some of the money principles that young men should learn early in life? Dr. Allen, we're gonna let you start off with this one.
All right, all right. The financial principles of young men should learn early in life. Well, there are a few foundational principles every young man should learn early, like early. So first, live below your means. Just because you can afford something doesn't always mean you should buy it. All right. That discipline creates a margin and freedom. I know, like, we like to see everybody in the Gucci bags and all the Louis Vuitton stuff and the baddest car and, trying to get that attention. But most importantly, like, we have to understand to live below our means. Second, pay yourself first. A lot of times, like, having that mindset of you're working to pay bills, like, it doesn't really make sense. Like, okay, you're working to pay bills. That's not really living. I mean, how are you going to take care of yourself? So I've learned that in the industry of entrepreneurship, just to pay yourself first, the saving and investing, it shouldn't be the afterthought. It should be built into your lifestyle from the beginning. And Brother Drake said systems, structure is very vital. Also, thirdly, understand how money works. That includes budgeting, credit, debt, and investing. Because if you don't understand money, you'll always feel like you're chasing it. And so, but I also believe it's critical. Young men need to understand that their identity is not tied to their income. So when you tie your worth to money, you start making emotional decisions, trying to impress people, overspending, and chasing status. But real strength is having the discipline to manage your money wisely, regardless of how much you make. Thank you.
Yep. There are some principles, especially like credit and how to make money, that these young individuals need to know early, because the earlier you learn them, the more you can use them in life. And so I want Andre, what are some of the money principles that these young individuals need to learn while they're still young?
Thank you so much, Derek. I think, and I'll go back to a thought my mentor would always say. And she would always say, you can have a $1 life, you can have a $5 life, you can have a $10 life, or you can have a $20 life. And it's simply the thought that you can have the life you go after, not tomorrow, but today, because it starts today. Growing up, I thought I would have had to wait till I was 18 to think about paying bills, looking for the next, and financially being responsible. But that starts today. And as a young man, it starts with that $1 you save out of your allowance. It starts out of that thought that helps you develop the goal. I'm working towards college. I'm working towards the next tennis. I'm working towards the next trip. Setting the goals, being intentional about saving towards those, but also analyzing your reality. Dr. Allen, he said a few minutes ago, sometimes when we think about the conversation about money, we tie it to identity and worth, but the reality is, no, it's a mentality. And it starts in your mind, and then it transits out of your mind into your actions by the step you take. And so if you want a $20 life, you can't be having a $1 mentality. You have to shift your mindset. You have to take the next steps. You have to find the tools that keep you accountable and just make those wise decisions.
Yeah, very valuable information. And Mr. Brown, I need you to close this question out with some valuable information that these young men can utilize and apply to the rest of their life. The question is,
Sure.
What are some of the money principles that these young men, young women need to learn early so that they can apply to their life and make their life financially better?
Sure. So there I was down in Ashburn, Virginia. The year was 2002, before probably many folks watching this were born, by the way. And while I was there, I was going through my second divorce. Don't judge me, by the way. I was working at I'm working at MCI at the time, because I was only worked for two companies in my whole career. So I worked for MCI and I worked for Citibank. And I was broke. I was in credit card debt, and my car was going to be repossessed. And I had a full-time job. And one of the lessons that I learned, and this was going to church, or being dragged to church, I should say. My mom was a bishop in the Pentecostal church. Don't judge me, by the way. 35 members in that little small church, 25 kids. I was one of the kids. I was dragged to church back then. I wasn't excited about going. But the minister said something that one day that just really, really stuck with me. And he said, what gets measured gets managed. And that's all I remember. I don't remember everything else, but I remember hearing what gets measured gets managed. And I remember I was about 22 then, 23. And I'm thinking to myself, what if I started, and this is the lesson I would have for someone who's, doesn't matter if you're 13, 14, 15, or 75. I said, what if I start putting $1 away in my savings account? And I just measured that for 1 year. That'd be $365. Not a lot of money today, but boy, back in 2002, it seemed like a lot of money. And at the time, I didn't have $365 in the bank. Isn't that crazy? So I started transferring $1 from my checking account to my savings account, from my checking account to my savings account. And every day I would just go look at it. I was so excited. the point. What gets measured gets managed. And I managed that, by the way. And I made it for a whole year. Ended up having like $1,032 in there, because after a while you put $5 in there and $2 in there, and it adds up. So if you're out there, one of the lessons I would say is you can start small. You have to do these big granular things. You only need one idea to change your life. How many ideas you need to change your life? One. Take the one idea. For me, it would be what gets measured gets managed. Measure how much money you have, and every day try to have that money grow just a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more. And as a result, you by default are spending less than you make. And when you spend less than you make, you always have some money. Isn't that kind of magical? It's amazing how that works. So that's my lesson to you. What gets measured gets managed, and what gets managed, well, gets better.
Yeah, that was some insight that we all needed to hear. And so we're living in a society where most of the households are single parent homes. The majority of those households are ran by females. So to the woman that is raising a son, how can she teach him financial stewardship in today's time? If you would, Andre, start us off on that one.
So that's actually a good question, because I grew up in a home where there was just women. At first it was my mom, and then it was my grandmother, and I had to, I guess, watch them struggle so much to make ends meet, get up in the mornings, come home late at night, struggle. And I feel like mothers can teach financial responsibility by first modeling it. And I know that's huge, not just talking about it, but modeling it, even in the moments when the situations are limited, right? Teaching the difference between the what I need versus the what I want, and involving the son in those simple financial decisions and even conversations, because those moments, they build a level of awareness. And if I'm aware, I have a level of appreciation and understanding. And that awareness allows me to tap into the understanding of the value of earning, the value of saving, the value of giving, and in a lot of cases, the mental component as to why it's so important for me to manage my impulse versus, the what I need, and being a little bit more disciplined. And it goes back to the teaching it as a tool and not a form of identity. And that discipline matters more than how much you have, because it's not how much you have, but it's what you do with what you have. And so I think that's definitely important.
Yeah, and in the process, I want to give a shout out to Leonardo, Deacon Dan, Sherelle, the individuals that's in the chats, that's sending comments. Your engagement is so valuable, and we really appreciate that. Mr. Brown, can you tell us, in these single parent homes, how can these mothers teach their sons how to steward money?
And that's a loaded question, but here's my response to that, because I remember when I was given a talk to a financial planning organization, about 600 people at their conference, supposed to have 1 hour to give my presentation. My time got cut short because they were running behind. They said, Mr. Brown, you only have 5 minutes. I said, 5 minutes? What can I say to the folks in 5 minutes? Like, seriously, these are like pretty powerful folks. And so I got up there and I shared 4 words. And these are the same 4 words that I would share with the mother that's out there, or the single dad. I was a single dad, so I know most households are run by moms, but shout out to all the single fathers out there, by the way. I raised my 2 sons. But anyway, back to the moms, because y'all rock the world. I gave 4 words. And these 4 words I shared was, do what you know. Now, I just said, if you just do what you know you can do right now, what a difference that would make. You might not need anything new. So if you're watching now as a single parent mom, do what you know. Whatever you're doing in your finances, kind of share the thought process with your son. Kind of share what you're doing and how it impacts the family with your son. I'm not saying you got it right, because I didn't have it right. I'm not saying all the money is there, but at least they understand the thought process, and they get embedded one skill. And the one skill they get embedded is that they can always plan on how to make it better. So be open about money. Don't just say it's going to appear. Don't just simply say you can pray about it, it's going to fall from the sky. And I know that's true, people believe. But no, day to day, you have so much money coming in, and there's so much money has to go out. Start with the fundamentals. I will say this until I'm probably gone from here, but never underestimate the power of the basics. Folks try to do all this other stuff. No, here's how much money, you have to tell me how much money, but here's how much comes in, and we got things that have to pay out. And if we don't do that, here are the consequences. That starts at least planting a seed that they alone are responsible for what happens in that house. Not the government, not who's the president, not what's happening in the world, but what they're doing with the decisions they make with the money they have. So right now, just do what you know. You do that, and you're going to steal some cool principles.
Gia in the comments said, this is some good teaching. So I want you guys to keep this flowing because the people are in the comments saying that, hey, man, we're saying some good stuff. So, Dr. Allen, how can these single mothers teach their son financial stewardship? What are the principles?
Gotcha. Well, first, shout out to the single mothers out there that's doing it by themselves, that have to play both roles to maintain a household and also raise the kids. Now, I don't have any kids of my own. Not yet. But I got 2 dogs, and just raising these 2 dogs is like, woo, man. So shout out to the single mothers first. But mothers play a powerful role in shaping how their sons think about money, especially early on. Like, one of the most effective things they can do is model what they want their children to learn, because children, they don't just listen, they watch as well. So just be mindful of that. They watch how you move, they watch how you spend, everything. So they're not just listening to your conversation you have with other people, they also watching how you moving as well. So it is important to bring sons into real life financial conversations. So let them see how decisions are made. Talk through the difference between needs and wants. All right. Explain why certain choices are being made. Also, give them responsibility early. All right. So even small amounts of money can be used to teach big lessons like saving, giving. You got to pay your tithes. Where that 10% going at? Where that 10% going at? And also spending wisely. All right. And don't be afraid to let them make mistakes in a safe environment. That's where the real learning happens. Because at the end of the day, financial confidence is built through experience and not just instruction.
Yes, sir. I'm pretty sure they are continuously saying this is good teaching. But we're talking about finances, so we have to address the elephant in the room. You know, this is one thing that we really don't talk about much. People try to shy away from. But here on the Build Your Best Life platform, we are going to address what's important. So, Mr. Brown, I want you to start this question off. The question is, how does delayed gratification and discipline play in a person's financial future?
Yeah. Discipline plays a factor in financial discipline as it does across all of life, by the way, because there are a number of folks every day that always believe they can do something. And one of the things that I learned from my uncle that's very, very important is this one idea, and that is the best intentions don't equal the best results. And so where discipline comes in places, most folks have the best intentions. I'm going to eat less food. I'm going to go to the gym. And they have all these lofty goals, but without the discipline of doing it on a consistent basis, there's a problem. So where it plays in delayed gratification is people form habits and habits form futures. So you start thinking about your money habits that you have. And those habits are going to take you being consistent. Checking your bank account. Check how much money is coming in. Spending less than you make. And I love what I just heard, which is even more important, which is you're going to see things you want. And I got into this problem, more than one time. So I wish I could say I didn't know. People told me, I just didn't listen. I know I was that bad kid. But that is, I see something, I put it, and I have access, and all of a sudden I put it on my credit card. And that's what delayed gratification. When they're younger, it's one thing because they don't have access to the capital to make the decisions. But once they get a little bit older, 18, 19, 20, all of a sudden they can get a credit card or they can get the card that's maybe outside their reach. they may have to delay getting the type of car they want or even the type of house they want so they can live below their means. That's where the discipline comes in. Now, which I can say I learned the lesson right away. It took me a long time to learn it. But the point I want to make and I want to bring home with discipline is have the discipline in one area, spend less than you make, and live below your means. So if you can afford this car, maybe get a car that's a little bit older. If you can afford this house, maybe get a house a little bit like this. Maybe you want to go buy that new outfit and you have the money on your credit card. You got a $10,000 credit line. You're feeling good. Like, what's $1,000? But that $1,000 that was not paid right away with interest and everything, all of a sudden now you've lost more money. And that's what discipline comes in. You're able to delay. Maybe I won't get it today, but when I have $500 in the bank, I'll pay $5 cash and maybe put $5 on the credit card. That's how you apply the discipline on a consistent basis. So my point is, people form habits and habits form futures. Focus on your money habits and have the discipline to spend less than you make and live below your means. That'd be the one idea I would share.
Yes. In the comments, Nick Era said, don't be afraid to make mistakes in a safe environment. As parents, we really have to create that safe environment for our children to be able to make those mistakes and learn from them. We can guide them, but we can't make all the decisions for them. We got to allow them to make some mistakes for them to learn the lesson that comes with it. And so next, I want to go to Andre, which is how, since we talk, let's change it up. Since we're talking about that safe space, Andre, what does that safe space look like when we're talking about finances in the household? When we're talking about, can we have that safe space in the home where a parent can talk about what the bills look like? Can we have that safe space in the household? Or what does that safe space look like in the household when we're talking about finances?
And so, Derek, I think that safe space is so important. And what it looks like in the home is involvement in the process. This is the why we're doing this. Don't just tell me as the child or the young man in the home when I say, well, mommy or daddy, I want this. No, you can't have that. Tell me the why. Because when you tell me the why, there's a level of education that breeds a level of understanding that helps me to know the why. And so I'm better able to make a more informed decision. But when I fail to be equipped with the understanding of why, then when the gratification that's connected to my impulse, the need to want, the need to have, I have the money now. When that steps in, I'm going to mismanage the money and also the opportunities because that level of awareness in including me in the conversation by allowing me to know even the little details, not the big ones, allows me to develop a level of understanding that's connected to the level of discipline. And so even for me, and it goes back to something that Brown, he was saying a few moments ago, delayed gratification, it's the foundation of financial stability. And it's us allowing our young men to understand you can't have it now and this is why. It's not about today, it's more so about tomorrow. And so when I came in to that job that was paying me $55,000 because all I heard all my life was no, you can't have it, and nobody never told me why and included me in the conversation. I was like, you have it, you have it, you have it, I have it. When I have it, we all have it. And so I was taking trips, I was partying, I was losing it. And because of that, I ended up homeless and I had to learn a valuable lesson at an older age, a lesson I should have learned at a younger age if someone had just brought me to the table and had those conversations. I know that's hard for parents to do because you don't want to see them a certain way in front of your kids, but there are ways to bring them to the table and say, hey, son, I know you want this. We're going to get it one day. Today is not that day. And this is why, because this is our priority. And priority, that awareness breeds understanding that also helps to create some level of discipline.
Yeah, I know growing up for me and my parents, we didn't talk about bills. They didn't sit down and show me how to do a budget or anything like that. And I know, Will, we kind of came from similar backgrounds. Did you have that safe space? Did your parents sit down and talk to you about finances, the bills, budgeting? How did that look like for you, and what advice would you have about that?
Well, it's funny that you say that. Actually, my mother was a bank teller. She worked in the bank industry for about 30 some years, like my whole life, kind of, sort of, that I can remember. But just some of the strategies that she instilled in me was mainly like just budgeting, really, to not making sure, like one of the gentlemen said earlier, to not spend more money than you're making really doesn't make any sense. And so I know that Mr. Andre has spoke also about just with delayed gratification. And so like the discipline and delayed gratification are at the heart of financial stability, of what I've learned just growing up. So most financial challenges don't come from a lack of income. They come from a lack of consistency and control. So discipline is what allows you to stick to a plan, even when it's not exciting. It's what helps you save when you rather spend, and invest when the results aren't immediate. So just learning that from my mom. And delayed gratification is the ability to say, I don't need this right now. I'm building something bigger. So in a world where everything is instant, well, which is like instant access or instant purchases, instant validation, that mindset is rare, but it's powerful. Because when you can delay pressure, you position yourself to accelerate the progress of the process.
Nick Arrow just agreed with you. All she said in the comment was yes.
Thank you.
And so let's get to the next question. I'm pretty sure everybody on her, as far as on the panel, are believers. And we also had a person in the comments that said, know your why. And for most of us, if we follow and believe the way we believe, then we know what our why is. So how does biblical principles and biblical teachings be the foundation of financial stewardship? Andre, I'll let you start this one off.
So I think when we look at the Bible and what the Bible says, the Bible lays the blueprint for stewardship and what that looks like. But connected to stewardship is also the discipline, right? I'm required to be faithful with what I have, but I'm also required to manage the little or the much. There's a level of contentment, there's the wisdom, there's the intentional planning that speaks to the purpose, the discipline, and also the integrity. But at the end of the day, I can't manage what I don't have, right? I can't be a good steward of what I don't have. And so if it's coming to me, we heard the 10% mentioned earlier regarding tithing, but if it's coming to me and it's coming through me, then I have an obligation and a responsibility to sort of manage that. And managing that requires me to be disciplined.
Okay. And with that, we're going to go next to Mr. Brown. How does biblical teachings affect how we steward and manage our money?
Sure. So, one of the ways it impacts it, and the story that comes to mind to me, and I have time to tell it, is the father who gave the two sons some talents, right? And one person went and took the talent and decided they were going to go make something of it. The other son decided, I don't know if this is for me. I don't know if this is going to be done. I'm going to play it safe. And he buried it, right? And so he buried the talent. And so he comes back. And the moral of the story is, doesn't matter if you have a lot or you have a little, you work and do the best you can with what you have. How that plays into finances is our belief system, which gets to faith, but our belief system. And one of the things that I would share, when you think about money, most people, no matter what age, they think of financial freedom. They think of the ability to do what they want to do, how they want to do it, when they want to do it. There may be one level which just says, I got enough money to pay all my bills, take a few vacations, life's okay, 3 months in the bank, 6 months, whatever it is, that's okay. And then there's that whole other level that says, you know what? I'm good. If something happened in the next year or two and I lost my job, I'm okay because I have financial resources that support me. So my message would be this, and how you tie the faith and the biblical principle is this right here. And it's a Shay Brown remix because I'm part of the LL Cool J family, and I'm that old, like, I got remixes on everything. But the remix version here would be, don't ever stop believing that it can't happen for you, that you can't have financial freedom. No matter where you're starting, you can start where you are today and get a little bit better every day, not because you believe, but because you take the right actions and you know that it can happen to you as well. Don't be like the other brother that just buried the money and said, I'm not sure if this is possible. Only got a little bit. Nope. You start where you are and you get a little bit better every day because you too can have financial freedom and you too can write a check to other folks to help them come along. It's possible.
We have Miss Johnson in the comments. She said, it all boils down to mindset and discipline. Okay. So, Dr. Allen, how does biblical principles guide us in managing and stewarding our money?
Got you. Well, Derek, this is my calling. This is my passion. So when we talk about the Bible and biblical principles in life and finances, this is so me. So I'm gonna try to make it short. All right. So like when you bring faith into your financial life, you begin to understand that money is not just a natural resource. It's a spiritual responsibility, because the Bible never presents money as the problem. It presents how we think and manage money as the real issue. So since we talk about Bibles, let me go to the scripture, what it says in Matthew chapter 6, verse 21. Do you hear me? Where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. So money doesn't just reveal what you have, it reveals who you are becoming. Now, here's the shift. Most people approach money from a place of ownership. Oh, this is mine. I earned it. I decide what happens to this. I work for this. I put blood, sweat, and tears. This is my money. But biblical thinking says God owns everything. I'm a steward. And a steward changes your behavior. So because when you see yourself as a steward, you become more intentional, you become more disciplined, you become more accountable. You start asking better questions. Is this wise? Is this aligned? Am I multiplying what I've been given or just consuming it? Now let's talk about principles. The Bible teaches very clear financial principles. Number one, steward before increase. If you can't manage what you have now, more won't fix it. It will just expose it. Number two, multiplication is expected. In the parable of the talents, Shay brought up, the servant who multiplied was rewarded. The one who did nothing lost even what he had. So God doesn't just expect preservation, he expects growth. Number three, discipline is non-negotiable. Proverbs, it makes it clear. The difference between the wise and the foolish often comes down to consistency and self-control. And my last one, number four, generosity unlocks flow. Luke, I think it's chapter 6, verse 38 says, give and it shall be given unto you. Giving is not losing. It's participating in a system of increase. Now, here's a practical advice for everybody that's listening out there. All my single mamas out there. If you want to apply biblical principles to your finances, start here. Track what you're doing with your money, because you can't be a good steward over what you don't measure. Tithe and give consistency, not out of obligation, but as a discipline that keeps your heart aligned. Invest. Don't just spend, because money that isn't multiplied will eventually be depleted. avoid unnecessary debt. Scripture warns us that the borrower becomes servant to the lender. So make decisions from purpose and not out of pressure. If you're emotional, you're vulnerable, and emotional decisions are the most expensive decisions. And here's the big idea: faith doesn't just change your finances; it changes your financial identity. So you stop being a consumer and you become a steward. You stop chasing money and you start managing with purpose. And when you align your financial life with biblical principles, you're not just hoping things work out, you're actually operating a system that already is designed to work. Now, that's just the introduction. Now I'm going to answer the question. No, I'm joking. Go ahead.
Yeah, we had Miss Johnson in the chat. She said, Mr. Allen, did she give you some hand claps? She said, yes. So if you are watching and you're in the chat, please drop some type of emoji. If these guys are bringing some valuable information, drop some fire in the chat, some praying hands, something, anything in the chat to keep us motivated, keep us going, and let us know that we're doing a good job of bringing some valuable information. This is going to be the closing question. I need you guys to add some valuable, just a brief 2, maybe 3 minutes, some valuable information, something that the next generation can use, take with them, put in their tool belt, and as they work on their life as far as financially. And I'm gonna let you start it off, Andre. What is the message that you have for the next generation when it comes to financial literacy?
So I think the first part of that is just reminding them that you can have the life you choose. It could be that $1 life, that $5 life, that $10 life, or the $20 life in value. But it starts with you just having the knowledge, arming yourself with the knowledge, because that knowledge is able to combat confusion, bring some structure, and you've gotten the knowledge. You're now being intentional and deliberate with that structure through setting clear financial goals, creating a pathway, budgeting, financial literacy, finding the information, the tools, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, all of these things that keeps you accountable with the information that's relevant at your level to ensure with that knowledge, you're able to create some structure that helps you to not live in survival mode, but that helps you to have the confidence instead of the fear and the silence that surrounds money. Have those conversations. That's a part of it. Have those conversations with your parents, have those conversations peer to peer, have those conversations with experts, because for far too long there's been a level of silence, but also shame connected to money, that whole conversation. And then most importantly, I want them to know that their starting point, it doesn't have to be their ending, but also their starting point doesn't have to be like anyone else's own. They determine that. And it starts today, not tomorrow. I want to encourage them that your story can change if you're willing to change your habits and your mindset like I did. And that just requires one moment, 1 minute, 1 second of awareness that's able to propel you into clarity financially. Thank you so much.
Whew. Man, y'all bring some heat, man, in the chat. Man, they send you some prayer hands, some claps. So, hey, they let us know we're bringing some good information. Dr. Allen, you work with the youth. What is the message that you will have for them, the next generation, about financial literacy? If you would just give us that message in a brief 2 to 3 minute session.
Gotcha. I thought I was gonna go last. He caught me off guard, but I got to answer. All right. So, my message to the next generation is simple. All right. Don't just chase money. Learn how it works. Because if you only focus on earning money, you'll always feel like you need more. But when you understand money, you learn how to keep it, you learn how to grow it, and use it wisely. I would tell them this: start early. You don't have to wait until you're older to build good habits. What you do with a little now will determine what you can handle later on. Be disciplined. Everybody wants success, but not everybody wants structure. Your future will be built on the decisions you make daily, not occasionally. Avoid the trap of comparison. Ooh, that's a good one. We live in a world where people look wealthy online, but are struggling in real life. Don't spend your money trying to impress other people who aren't building your future. And learn the difference between income and wealth. Income is what you earn, but wealth is what you keep and grow. And last thing, I promise my last thing, take ownership of your financial education. I know there's a whole bunch of gurus online that's trying to tell you this and that, put you in a hole, all this and that. Don't rely on social media or guesswork. Read and learn and ask questions and surround yourself with people who understand money. You know the saying goes, you are the company that you keep. Now, if you want to be financial success, hang around people that's actually doing the work, that has the experience, that knows the lingo. Like, why would you hang around Sally Sue that doesn't know the lingo, that doesn't know how everything works? You know, it's funny how you can give people advice, but when it comes to you must even take your own advice. So be around people that understand money and surround yourself with people like that. Because at the end of the day, financial literacy is not just about dollars. It's about freedom, choices, and legacy. And if you get that right early, you won't just change your life. You'll change your family's future for generations. Break that generational curse.
Yeah, we got some clockets in the comments. We got some hand claps. But that part, we also got a comment before I let you give your message, Shay. And this is a topic this is something that can be a topic of its own. But we have Sherelle. She said, make sure as you get older to choose partners who also have a healthy relationship with money. Now that's a word, because we know beyond who we choose to praise and fellow, the next most important decision we make is the person that we choose to spend our life with.
Yeah.
And so, Mr. Brown, give us your message to the next generation about financial management, how they steward their money. Just give us that punch, that message that's gonna say, this is what y'all need to hear.
Sure. So there's three things that I would share if I was talking to someone on the couch right now and they were like, hey, Shay, what are three things I should do, right? The first one that I would say, I think is the most important part, and they said it so many ways, but let me put a frame on it. And that's kind of audit your inner circle. There's old saying, you can't be what you can't see. So take a look at who's in that small circle and pick one person and say, you know what? I like the way they handle it. I see where they are, and have a conversation, because now you can duplicate what someone else is doing that is financially free. I didn't say they had the boat. I didn't say they had the huge car. I didn't say they had the latest outfit on, but there's someone that you can look at in your circle. And it might not be amongst your friends. It might be amongst your parents' friends or someone else's friends, but find that one person in the circle, because now you can see it. And then once you can see it, you see what financial freedom looks like, and the ability to have the cash flow to do what you want, when you want, and how you want. Now, that's a big order, but I promise you, if you do what other people who've done have been successful, I promise you, you won't shout on this, but you will be the same way if you follow their principles. Number two that I would say is, it's okay to fail. I told you before, I've been in debt. I've been bankrupt. I've made some horrible mistakes and making bad deals. I found myself with no money because I overspent, overcharged. I was betting on myself. But the point I want to make, not that I want you to fail, but it's going to happen. Don't beat yourself up. The second principle I would say is, you can come back from anything. From anything. Okay, you can make a bad decision and find everyone looking down on you, but it doesn't mean you got to stay down. And I want you to kind of hear that. ask yourself, what's the first thing that I can do, that only I can do to get back on financial track? Because life is a series of being on track and then you're off track, and then you're on track and then you're off track. But if you stay consistent, you'll be on track more than you'll be off. So just don't beat yourself. I used to beat myself up so bad and say, I can't believe I did that. I can't believe I did that. And you know what that only did? That only slowed me down. And all the personal development I've had over the years, and all the videos I watched, and all the books I read, I haven't read one place anywhere, maybe I'm wrong, but that when you beat yourself up, you do a better job. I just haven't read that. So I want you to step up and say, you know what, if I made a mistake, I'm going to get back on track again. Make that promise to me right now. You get back on track again. And then the third thing I would say, and it's probably the one word, I'm not a scholar like Dr. William over there, the Bible, but it's probably only one word in the Bible that guarantees success, according to Shay Brown. No one said Shay, you're correct, by the way. But in that one word is persist. And I want you to tell yourself that you will persist until you reach financial freedom. And that's really important. I want you to think financial freedom. I want you to think I have money in the bank. I want you to think I have a good job. Don't you think I have my own business and it's flowing? I want you to think I am free from any financial challenges going on for a while, and I can help someone else. So I don't want you to think about, yeah, I'm a persistent, I have it all. No. Once you get to that place, who else can you help? Whether it's with your wisdom, your expertise, or your experience, or my favorite, write a check to the church. You're going to give it 10%, but when you can give over 10%, and you can write a check to a family, you can write a check to help someone go to college. I want you to have that embedded in you, because if you do, you'll know it takes money. I know we keep talking about money, but it takes money to make that happen faster, quicker, easier. You have that mindset, I will persist till I succeed. Doesn't matter if it's money, don't matter if it's relationships, doesn't matter if it's business. My promise to you, you'll see you will be successful. Back over to you, Derek.
Oh, man. Y'all guys brought the heat today. And that's just not me saying it. The chat says it for itself. We had some preaching. We had so much engagement, man. And I want to say thank you to everybody who watched today, everybody who engaged. That is motivation to continue to do what we do here on the Build Your Best Life platform. I want to thank each and every one of you guys for being up, showing up, and bringing the best value y'all could to this audience. Next, I want to say thank you to Coach Ricardo Miller, who is behind the scenes working hard to keep everything going. Also, Deacon Dan, Mr. Lovett, and Coach Wilburn, who are regulars here on the platform, who had things going on this week. But guess what? You guys stepped in, brought heat, kept it going. And next month, when everybody returns back, it's going to be just as powerful. Also, if you're watching, take the time to buy the Build Your Best Life by none other than Coach Deborah Smith. And speaking of Coach Deborah Smith, right now she is in the hospital going through illness. Please, everybody who's watching, everybody who's participating, please keep her in your prayers. She's a woman who's doing so much in the community. She created this platform for individuals to get their story out and for others to get valuable information that they can use to change their lives. So please, if you would, keep Coach Deborah Smith in your prayers as she comes out of this situation that she's in right now. We know she's going to return back better than how she went in. And so with that, this has been another great episode of Conversation with the Guys. Thank everybody. You all did such a great participation. I'm so grateful. I am Derek Durden, your host, and stay tuned next month, same time, same bat channel for the next episode of Conversation with the Guys.